Hey there, it's Teresa here. Hi, if you haven't been here before, I'm Teresa Younkin. I'm a healthcare informaticist. So what that means is that I speak the language of the business, I speak the language of IT, I bring them together, we have conversations, and we try to build products that are going to benefit our patients and members. And it also includes our clinicians. Welcome, let's get started. I want to start with a little story. So my neighbor and I, we walk every week. At the end of last year, I had her blood work done. Cholesterol was high. She decides that she doesn't want to go on medication. She wants to try and change it through diet and exercise. So one day she says, "Hey, Teresa, can you look at this for me? Because I know you work like in computers or something or technology and you do something in healthcare. Can you look at this and tell me what's going on?" So I look at her Fitbit and I see she's got like little blips on it. And she's like, "Yeah, like I don't understand like why my heartbeat keeps falling different times." And I said, "Well, you know what? What you may want to do is keep track of it and then call your primary care. But before you go in, make sure that you're tracking so that you can tell them what's happening and you're telling them a good story." She goes in, and they send her to the cardiologist, which is great. And she keeps tracking this healthcare data. Now, I would call her an engaged patient because she's looking at these wearables. This, I believe, is going to become more and more prevalent because we all have wearables. We're tracking all of this data. The problem is that when we take it to our providers, vast amount of data that's generated, we call that data dust, what's left behind, that information is voluminous. Nobody wants to put that inside of their electronic health record. It's just too much data. So I think that AI could be one area that we could use to help identify some of these anomalies. The ONC just released some rules last week to do with AI transparency and the algorithms that we are using. So let's talk about what that looks like. The draft of the 2024-2030 Federal Health IT Strategic Plan, ONC, Office of the National Coordinator for Health Information Technology, ONC. The plan emphasized the importance of using AI. Our early projects are showing that there are a lot of benefits. They're also putting out strategies. Remember, the strategy is the high-level plan. They're expecting us as health IT providers to be able to put in the actual steps that we're going to take to meet these strategies. The strategies are our guide rail. We have to come up with the programs, the tools that we're going to be using, and the outputs to accomplish what's in the plan. What are the four things that I pulled out of this plan that I think we need to be looking at? We need to promote education, outreach, and transparency about AI technology because we need to better inform individuals about the care that they're getting. And we also need to educate our providers about the tools that they're using. We want to promote the safe and responsible use of AI tools, right, to streamline and to improve care delivery, because that's the beauty of AI. It can take large amounts of data, process it, and then give us ideas, give us clinical decision support steps, help us to do better for our patients. Next, we want to broaden the use of technologies. We want to get out of just NLP. We want to go into more comprehensive computations. So we want to be looking at machine learning and predictive modeling. But we also want to be doing that in an ethical way across diverse groups. We want to make informed decisions. We want to improve the quality. But how do we do that across different groups? And then finally, we want to promote increased transparency, how we develop these AI algorithms. So we already know that many of our practices have been biased in the past. We need to put together a plan and understand how we are going to slowly move the needle. How do we start to implement new data collection techniques so that we can move the needle on that and remove the bias and look across more diverse populations? If you want to know more about the strategic plan, I have a great little PDF that they put out about the strategic plan. It's only 73 pages, 900. So let's talk about the situation. So the government puts out these strategies. We have to operate within the guide rails that they put out there. How we execute it is up to us. Those are conversations that we're having with legal, compliance, our risk stratification, and mitigation professionals within our companies. It doesn't just stay an IT initiative. It's going to become a larger initiative. one of the issues that we're going to have to deal with is this rapid evolution of the AI technology. If you think about ChatGPT a year ago and you think about ChatGPT now, look how much it's changed. We can now add in pictures and we can talk. And there's, a year ago, we did not have that functionality. It was basically a question and answer tool. Now it's grown into something that's much bigger. And as more capabilities come, we're going to have to develop solutions that are more open-ended so that we can bring on more. Maybe it's bolting on different pieces around our solutions. We're thinking about this differently. We're also going to have to think about how we're going to address the bias, the transparencies, the safety, and how do we use it responsibly? Those are the questions. So anything that we build has to look at those areas, and we need to answer the questions for that. What are we going to do? Well, I want you to think about these 3 actions that you should be taking. You need to collaborate this effort, right? Who are you going to involve when you talk about promoting education and transparency? Who are you going to involve when you're talking about safe and responsible use of these AI tools? And how are you going to use it when we think about broadening ethical use across diverse groups? And I'm not just talking about ethnicity, differences in ethnicities. I'm talking about genders, male versus female. How will we account for that? Next, how are we going to increase that transparency into how we're developing the algorithms and still protect our intellectual property? We want to protect the intellectual property, but we also want to mitigate bias and the inaccuracies that we have in our data sets. Who do we involve in each one of those steps? How are we going to communicate this work stream? We don't want to always be the shiny object people. We want to be promoting communication and conversations at the right time. Involvement and informing are 2 different areas. We want to always keep people informed, so it's not a surprise, but we only want to involve them when we're ready to involve them in the project and in the process, because we're dealing with a lot of burnout from clinicians, from IT folks, from the business folks. We're doing a lot of work with less resources right now. So we only want to involve people when it's time for them to be involved, but we want to make sure that they've been informed along the way so they're not starting at ground zero. And finally, we want to coordinate the outcomes. Now, this is broader than just the outcomes of the patients. Outcomes are, what does the IT team need to call this successful? What does the compliance team need to call this successful? My clinical team need to call this project a success. We're going to build an AI tool. We know from the C-suite that everybody's thinking about this, but there are so many things to think about. So we want to make sure that as we're drafting our plans and as we're incorporating and reviewing the federal strategies around AI and our organizational strategies around AI, when it comes to actually executing on those strategies, these are the questions that we want to ask. Who to involve? When do we involve them? And what do we want to happen? You want to collaborate the effort, you want to communicate the work stream, and you want to coordinate those outcomes. All right. Thank you for being here. I will again be here next week having more conversations about AI in healthcare. And you guys have a great week.